All right. So let's be honest, like how many of you have opened a dashboard and you see something like this and immediately regret it? It happens with me most of the time. The dashboard that you see in front of your screen is a perfect example of a confusing layout, too many colors going on, too many elements. So by the time you figure out your insights, your patience is gone. Now, take a look at this. This is a dashboard that actually makes sense because it's easy on your eyes. There's no guessing game. Clear insights are available. So do you notice the difference how proper spacing, layouts, colors, scheme, right charts makes everything easy to read and understand? So this is what we are aiming for today. And trust me, this is not magic. It's just simple, good design. Before we get started, quick introduction about me. My name is Lakshmi. I love making dashboards less frustrating and more fun. And a little bit about me. I'm one of the Power BI Data Viz World Championship finalists, also a Power BI data analyst certified by Microsoft, also a recent MVP. I keep forgetting to tell that, so I made sure to add it onto the slide. Also, I'm a regular contributor to the data community. I post lots of tips and tricks on LinkedIn about Power BI. And I also have a Medium blog wherein I put a lot of information about Power BI, about UX, UI design as well. And currently, I'm a data analyst at Missouri S&T in the Institutional Effectiveness Department. And on a personal note, I'm a dog mom, love going on adventures. Both of us are foodies. And I'm also a huge advocate of diversity and inclusion. With that, I'm going to get started in the first 10 minutes. I'm going to give you 5 simple, no nonsense tips that will transform your reports. Just keep those tips in mind. And then towards the end of the session, I'm going to do a live report transformation using that five simple tips. Hope you have fun. Let's get started. Tip number one is avoid random placement of visuals. You see how the cards are separated. There's a random icon floating. Do not do that. That's because it makes users work too hard to find what they want. Instead, employ white space and group visuals. You see, what you see on the screen is more soothing to the eyes. The related visuals are grouped together. So all the related visuals are grouped together. And then we have white space. White space is not wasted space. It's basically giving more space, more breathing room for the visuals. This is really important because it helps users guide their eyes. So remember, don't randomly place charts here and there. Group them logically and most importantly, give them some room to breathe. Tip number two, choose the right chart type. So this is one of the biggest dashboard crimes that I see, people using the wrong chart type. The right chart type can make data more understandable and meaningful. Take a look at both of these charts that you see on the screen. Both of them show total sales by item type, but one of them is totally wrong. On the left, we have a funnel chart, which is great for showing a process, say a sales pipeline. But for comparing the sales, it's totally wrong. It's confusing. On the right, we have beautiful bar chart, clean, simple, easy for comparing values. Instantly, you will be able to find out which item sold the most and which item sold the least. Another quick example. On the left, we have a pie chart showing units sold by uh, total units sold by day or by month. And then on the right, we have the same. But you see how the choosing the right chart type makes a difference because a pie chart is generally used for showing parts of a whole. And when it comes to trends over time, the line chart is perfect for the data because in the line chart, you are easily able to find what the pattern is. It is easy to spot increases and it's easy to spot dips as well. So that's why it's important to choose the right chart type. Just throwing this out there. This is a chart selector. You will find it on Google. Just type chart selector. And this is by A. Abella. This is something which I go to when I'm confused on what visuals you should use. So just remember that choose a visual that appropriate to your data and information that you're trying to show. Tip number three, avoid clutter. So have you seen dashboards like this where it feels like the person is trying to fit an entire data warehouse into one screen? It's like a nightmare. What happens is instead of people finding insights, all they go to see is clutter. Instead, Look at this, how this version keeps only what's important. There's no extra grid lines, no access labels, there's no redundant visuals, very, very clean dashboard. So here's a basic rule that you should remember, that every visual on your dashboard should serve a purpose. If it's not adding value to your dashboard, it's basically just clutter. And if you find clutter, be ruthless and just declutter and simplify your dashboard. And trust me, your users will thank you. Tip number 4, avoid using too many colors. So like you see on the screen, it's probably like a rainbow explosion. There are a lot of colors, red, blue, green, pink, and it's a visual mess. What happens this at this point is your brain cannot process all these colors at once. And as a result, the dashboard becomes more about colors rather than the data. And that's not what we want. The solution for this is use a consistent and a very limited color scheme. By limiting colors, what happens is you let your data take the center stage. People are not distracted by colors. They are able to concentrate on the data. One suggestion which I would like to give is always keep in mind to use colors strategically. For example, use color when you want to highlight something, or maybe you want to have a background to make that particular element stand out. This makes it makes the dashboard easier to remember and understand. So always remember that a limited color scheme will help your audience to focus on the data and not on the aesthetics or the colors. Tip number 5, and this is by far my favorite, my to-go tip, and this is something which I see a lot of people do not follow. It is optimized for readability. This simply means that you should present your data in such a format that users can grasp instantly. Don't make them work for it. Here's a classic example that you see on the screen. There's a KPI card which shows a long number as total profit, 133,155,89. Now let's be real, who's really going to read the entire number? Even if they're going to read, it's hard to read and even harder to digest. Instead, look at the second example, how it's in much cleaner format where you see a dollar sign, you see 13.32 million. This is much easier to read at the first glance, right? So you don't need to squint your eyes or try to figure out whether it's million or it's billion. So adding a dollar sign and simplifying the number format makes it immediately understandable. Let's look at another quick example. Here's a bar chart that shows total sales by item type, but on the left side, you see like my labels are cut off. There's a scroll bar. The font size is not pleasing. This makes it tough for the audience to understand what's going on. What is house H, house help, house old? So basically, the user is trying to guess what's going on. On the right side, you see a dashboard. You see a visual wherein the text size is adjusted to such a number that there are no three dots. All the axis labels are clearly visible. There is no scroll bar. Plus, we have some data labels added, which add extra value to the visuals. So basically, the users are not guessing what the value is. So this is another quick example of optimized for readability. Let's wrap this up quickly. So the 5 rules that you need to remember, I've created an acronym called the GRACE framework. Group visuals with white space, use the right chart type, avoid clutter, use a consistent and limited color scheme, and enhance readability. So the next time you're designing a dashboard, just remember GRACE, and trust me, your dashboards will be functional as well as effective. And that's pretty much it. Let's directly go do a Power BI glow up and hope the demo gods are good with me. Okay. So what we're going to do right now is, remember this rainbow explosion that I showed you? I'm going to pick that. We are going to transform it into something like this. And then we're going to take it one step further to transform something into something like this. The only difference is you see these extra information, extra context that has been given. And so the first thing what I would like to say is the best way to get started with the report is always using a custom theme file. So basically what you can go is go to view, go to the themes, customize your current theme, put in all your required colors, choose what text size, font color you want, and then use it. But for now, what I'm going to do is say you are already given a ugly report or ugly dashboard. And now I'm going to show you how you can immediately transform this into something like this, just by following a few rules. In order to get started, what I'm going to do is just duplicating the initial report. So always keep these grace format, grace framework in mind, and I'm going to use these grace framework. Make sure I transform this particular report. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the background at the back. So you see how there's a yellow background, which makes no sense at all. The best way to create a background for your Power BI reports is by using PowerPoint. Let me just quickly open a PowerPoint. So what I've done here is added a light gray background, and then I have a shape, which I'm going to use as a title header. Once you are satisfied with your design, this is a very basic design, go ahead and export it into a PNG format. Once you export it into PNG, you will be all set to import it right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import the particular image that I just showed you. Where is it? Just a second. Let me go to desktop. Perfect. And then I'm going to put width into it. Transparency is 0. Perfect. Next, you see how I have a blue title bar. I do not require the blue title bar because my image, the background that I imported already has a title bar. I'm going to simply switch off my background, going to select my text, change it, change the size, maybe probably just change the font color, put it right here. Quick tips here is you can enable snap to grid lines in order to make it easier. I generally tend to use my grid lines because it helps me to figure out if it's in the middle or do I need to adjust the location of my visuals. Once you're done with this, I see there are random elements. So I suppose this was a logo of the organization. So I'm going to put it on the left side. Good. So now I've tackled the blue visual title that I had. Next, always remember that when you add slicer, so you see in this report, the one mistake that they've done is they've added slicer along with the visuals. That makes it mandatory to use, or it kind of makes it part of the dashboard. But you know how these slicers are not part of the visual. They are just giving an extra edge to the users to play around with the dashboard. So what I'm going to do is simply shift it to the top and then play around with a couple of formatting, just going to change the size a bit. Always keep in mind that there is a difference between filters and slicers. Filters is something that you impose on the dashboards, but slicers is basically you're giving extra functionality to the users to play around with the dashboard. So don't get confused between that. So what I'm doing right now is just adjusting a little bit the size. Now, one mistake what I also see is people generally tend to just put in the slices on their dashboard. So when I see 2014, 2015, I, as a user, can understand that I'm talking about year, but you do not really know if the end user is going to understand what's going on. So it's always better to provide a label. You can either use the inbuilt title or slicer header that's available. The only problem with that is you will always have it above the slicer. But since I wanted next to it, I'm using a simple text box, just added in a slicer. So keep this in mind. Always label your slicer. That's really important. Next, you see how I have 4 card visuals. So basically, this user wanted to show his KPIs. Do you remember the rule that I said that you're supposed to group the logical elements together? So now, since we figured out that the 4 of these cards are KPIs, it only makes sense to group them together. Another quick thing to note here is you see how all these KPIs have large numbers, 14108,005. We do not want that. We need to optimize it for readability. So what I'm going to quickly do is get rid of these card visuals. And then I'm going to introduce to you the new card visual by Power BI. So this is where you will find it. You will find a small lightning icon over the card visual. The reason I prefer this card visual, you will just see right now. What I'm going to do is add those 4 basic KPIs that were already present. So they were basically total sales, total units, total orders, and total costs. The reason that I use the new card visual is you see how the 4 KPIs, I was able to place it in a single card visual rather than using separate card visuals. One quick thing to note here is by default, Power BI will allow you to add 3 cards into it. In order to modify it, just go to layout and increase it. You will see that all my 4 KPIs have fit in right here. I'm going to play around with a little bit with the sizing so that my entire number is visible. Quick tip right here is whenever you're looking for a property, do not open each and every formatting option to find out what you're looking for. Instead, just type in here, say you're looking for a color. Just type in color. You will be able to filter out all the settings with the color option. So now what I'm going to do is reduce the size, and instead of changing the font here, another quick tip. So you see there's a number 45 here. What we tend to do is use the up arrow, down arrow to maybe just be patient and see if you're happy with your font size. Or what we do is we randomly type in numbers and then see if we like it. Instead, what you can do is select the size, and then you know you have that scroll button in your mouse. Just keep scrolling it up and down. It makes it easier for you to understand or judge which size you want to go with. Generally, if you are a Power BI user who uses Power BI on a regular basis, I am sure you have some number on top of your head. But this is just a quick tip for all the newbies. You don't have to keep using the up arrows or down arrows. Just use the scroll button in your mouse. Okay. So now I have played around with the, let me also reduce the size of the label. Great. Now, once you are set with the basic numbers, a few functionalities that I would really like to talk to you about the new card visual. Remember in the rainbow explosion dashboard that I showed you, we had icons for each of these card visuals. And do you see how the icons are away from, like, are a totally separate element because the native card visual does not allow uploading of images. But the new card visual has a functionality where you can upload images. So once you click on the new card visual, head over to images, and then you will be able to add images to each and every card. For example, let's select total sales, enable your image. There are 2 types of images. Either you upload your image or you use an image URL. I have a couple of icons already downloaded, so I am just going to go ahead and upload it. Don't worry about the formatting for now. I'll show you a short trick on how you could adjust all the icons together. Next, I'm going to move on to total unit. Choosing another icon. Uh, Please ignore the icon selection, just doing it on the fly. Total orders, let's keep it this. And then total cost. Let me put this. Okay. Once you add all your images, in order to format all of them together, go back to all under series and enable your images. Next, what you have to do is choose your position. So I always like to keep images on the left, keep it on the left. And then I am going to play around with the size. So you see how all the images are getting formatted together. You don't have to do it individually. So once you're fixed with your size, you can probably leave it like that. Perfect. Next, remember I was talking about optimize for readability. So one quick thing you can do with the new visuals is pick out the particular card. For example, we are going to focus on total sales where it has 14.10800565 million. I do not want that. I just need 14.10 million. So what I have to do is pick out the particular card that I'm talking about and then just go ahead and add value decimals as 2. One quick thing to note is the reason I do it this way is I am not touching my semantic model right now. So if you think that instead of adjusting stuff here, why can't I go to my data model and make changes? If you do that, your entire semantic model is going to get affected. Instead, what I'm doing is using formatting for only the visual. So you see how I could change the decimal points only for the visual and not in my semantic model. So just quick thing that you can remember. Also, I discovered this recently. I'm not sure if it was present in Power BI since a long time. So this is not just in the card visual. You could even do it in, say, a bar chart. But the thing is, for the bar chart, you will have to head over to properties, go to data format, and then choose uh, the formatting here. So if you're going to use this formatting as well, you will note that only the formatting of the visual gets changed. The semantic model remains unaffected. Okay, moving on. So once you are satisfied with your, the card visual, let's just keep it so like this, and then let's focus on the next visual. Now, you may think that this is going to take a lot of time, but trust me, you just have to format one visual, and then you will see how, by using the format painter, you can make this task really easy. So what I'm going to do now is going to focus on this particular visual. Let's get rid of the scroll bars. So you remember I said no one wants to see scroll bars. Let's get rid of that just by increasing the size a bit. Let's just give it a little white space. So do you see how I give a lot of space between visuals? That's called white space. This actually helps keep your reports neat and clean. Now, let's focus on this particular visual. One thing, say you really do not like any of the settings here, you do not have to delete the visual and start from scratch. Or you do not have to go to each setting and click reset to default. Instead, you see these three buttons on the top. Click on these three buttons and click Reset All Settings to Default. Once you do that, you see everything gets back to their default position. So you don't have to recreate the visual from scratch. Now, quick things to start from. When I format visuals, I start from a top to bottom approach. This reminds me of one thing that I recently came across. Always when you create your dashboards and reports, keep in mind that it's like a storybook. When you read a storybook, you flip pages to get to know the story. So basically, you're getting to know the what the story is about. And when you read the storybook, the page from top to bottom, you come to know what the flow of the story is. So always go by the flow from top to bottom approach and then left to right approach. So when it comes to formatting, go with that. So when I go to this particular visual, I'm going to start with the top. The top is the title. First thing what I'm going to do is first, always remember white space and head. So you see how the visual border and the title are very close together. Always make sure to give white space there. The way you can do is, again, like I said, just think in terms of English terms. That's called padding. Now, you don't have to go and find out where padding is. Go to the format settings, just type in padding. You will see it get filtered. So let's keep it 10. Oh, yeah, that works. Just keeping it equal from all the sides. So once the padding is set, do you see how I have a little bit of breathing room on the top? Now I'm going to start focusing on the title. All I'm going to do is changing the font family. Quick tip right here is stick to the same font family. For example, Arial, Arial Black, or Arial Unicode. What I tend to use is Segoy UI, light, semi-bold, and bold. So what happens is we do not have to play around with the thickness. Just use this. Keep in mind that semi-bold is good for titles. The bold is really good when you want to highlight something. So keep these fonts in mind. Never use 2 to 3 fonts together. So if you see here, you can see Comic Sans along with Arial. And then there's another Comic Sans going on. So never do that. What I've done is changed the font family, adjusting a size a little bit. One more thing, what I like to do is add subtitles. So what happens without subtitles is the user reads it as total sales by item type. That's good. But imagine you have a long title. People might get lost reading what is what. Instead, what I do is go ahead with subtitles. So what happens is the user reads it as total sales and then takes a pause, comes below and reads it as by item type. This is a good way of improving, say, the user experience. And again, this is a personal choice. This is something that I just do. Okay. Once you've added in your subtitle, now it's time to go to the visual. First, let's focus on the y-axis. Y-axis, when I have already mentioned that it's an item type, tend to generally switch off the item type title from the y-axis. And then I am going to probably change the color a bit. Doing the same with the x-axis, I'm going to get rid of the values and the title. And I am going to enable my data labels. And again, this is a personal choice. This is something that I just do. Okay. Once you've added in your subtitle, now it's time to go to the visual. First, let's focus on the y-axis. Y-axis, when I have already mentioned that it's an item type, tend to switch off the item type The reason why I prefer data labels over the x-axis values is, I'll just show you. When I have when I do not have data labels, when I just have x-axis values, I have to hover over each bar to find out what the exact value is, or I have to keep guessing, okay, it's more than 2 millions, it might be 2.5, it can be 3 as well. So I generally tend to switch off my x-axis, switch on my data labels, makes it easy for the users to work. Now, it's a very basic bar chart that you see, and I'm sure that a lot of you create bar charts like this, but when you look on a higher level, the bar width is something that captures your eyes. So when you look at the entire dashboard, your eyes directly go to the bar width. We do not really want that. So it's really important for you to play around with the bars size. The way you do is you go to bars. Since I'm talking about bars, go to bars, go to layout, and then there's something called space between categories. Play around with the size that till you get whatever you like. Now, instead of a bar chart, I'm going to give a quick tip on how you can convert a native bar chart into, say, a lollipop chart, just to give a little twist to your reports. What I'm going to do for a lollipop chart. So like a lollipop, it's going to have a stick and it's going to have your candy at the top in the form of a circle. So I'm going to visualize that here. So since I said I need a stick, I'm going to make the space really big so that I get a stick. Next, I'm going to focus on adding a bar, adding the candy on the top. The way you do that is using the error bars feature. Go to error bars, enable your error bars. And now since you want your candy on the top, we are going to use upper bound. And since we know we're talking about total sales, I'm just going to drag and drop it into the upper bound. Now, quick thing that you have to do is candy, which I want it in a circle shape, change your marker size, probably increase it. So you get like, say, a sort of a lollipop. It's a preference, but I just wanted to show you how you can create a lollipop chart just by using a native chart. You don't really need a custom visual for that. Next quick thing, what I want to tell you is, remember I told you it's important to use colors strategically. I do not want lot of colors. Now, when I look into this dashboard, I mean, it's neat, this particular visual where I see blue bars, that makes sense. But when I say you have to use it strategically, if the user looks at the report, he should instantly get an insight out of it. So what I'm going to do right now is use conditional formatting for the colors of the bar. So you remember my words, I said colors for the bar. So easy for you to find out, go to bars, find out colors, and then conditional formatting. So in Power BI, whenever you hear the word conditional formatting, always remember to find this button called FX. Hit on FX. Now, what I'm going to do, my aim right here is this particular visual. I want all the bars to be in a gray shade, but the highest bar should always be in a different color. The way you do that is pretty simple, is first choose rules, because we're going to set some rules. Next, since I'm talking about bars, you have to focus on the total sales. So I am going to type on total sales. So you see how I did not go open each table to find total sales, just typed in here and it comes up. Now what I'm going to do is set a rule. Always keep this in mind. Very, very easy tip. When I mentioned the aim, I told you that I want all the colors to be in gray. So what I'm going to do is, if the bar is 0% or less than 100%, so basically the general scenario, it has to be in gray. But if it is maximum, so basically if it is 100%, I want it in a different color. And then hit OK. You see how my maximum is now in a beautiful shade of blue. Now, this might feel a little silly to use because we know that the maximum is always going to be at the top. But imagine your clientele or your organization wants you to uh, probably sort your access by item type rather than your total sales. This is pretty helpful to you, where it easily you'll be able to find that household is the particular item type with the maximum sales. So let me just revert back to the default setting for easy purposes. Perfect. So this is now is where go a little easier. The next what I'm going to do is probably get rid of this icon, place it here. So now I have 4 visuals and I have this space that I need to be filled. The first thing I see is There are two visuals with the same value. So basically they're redundant visuals. So either I get rid of this, or maybe I can find out something else that I can use it for. Perfect. Now let's focus on this particular visual. You do not really have to start formatting this from scratch, like I mentioned. Before that, I quickly want to add a visual border to this particular visual because all my cards here have a visual border. Now, since I mentioned the term visual border, I am just going to go ahead and type here visual border. I get it. I'm just going to use a shade of gray and let's see how that looks. Perfect. What I'm going to do is click on this particular visual. Once you're satisfied with all the settings in there, hit Format Painter, click on the visual you want to format. Quick thing to note here is I'm sure you use Format Painter in Excel and Word, but in Power BI, a lot of people do not really know that exists. And even if it does, we just get distracted by all the formatting settings. So always keep in mind, if you're not using a custom theme, Format Painter is the best way to make sure things are in sync, things look similar to each other. Now, like I said, I am not a big fan of pie chart because like I told you, pie chart is good to show a part of a whole. But here, since I'm comparing stuff, I'm going to just convert it into a bar chart. Another quick thing, if you're a Power BI user, you might know it, but if you do not like this particular visual and you want to change it to another visual, you don't have to remove this visual and create a new visual. Just click this particular visual and choose the visual you want to shift in. Once you're done with that, couple things to notice is when you use the Format Painter, only the formatting settings get copied over. For example, you see how the colors are copied over, the rules get copied over, but my x-axis and my y-axis are back. So I'm going to quickly switch this off. Okay, I do need my x-axis. I do not need my y-axis. Perfect. Now, another thing to note here is I again see huge numbers. In order to go ahead and you can do it right here, total sales, go to, oh, it's a currency, right? Yeah, let's make it currency. And then I want two decimal places. Perfect. Great. We can even change it right here if we want. In the data label, I am going to go ahead and change the units to millions. Perfect. Great. So now once you are satisfied, I am still not satisfied. So I don't really like the wide column. So the same trick we used over here where I reduced the size of the bars, I'm going to do the same with the columns just to make it a little more readable and look better. Let's give it a little breathing room on this side. Perfect. Now I have another visual right here. So what I'm going to do is probably fit it right here and using the Format Painter again. Now, when you see that, when I use Format Painter right here to convert a column chart into a column chart, you see how my x-axis and y-axis values also gets resetted. So thing to remember, when you change chart types, the Format Painter only copies the formatting settings. But if the chart type is going to be the same, everything gets copied over. So I'm going to put it right here, adjust my size, and then again going to go ahead and change, optimize it for readability, millions. Okay. And then I want it as a currency. Sorry, total sales, currency, dollar sign. Perfect. Great. And then what I'm going to do is probably fit this visual right here. And quick thing to note is you see how total sales by month. So one tip, whenever you have a time or date time format that comes up in your visual, it's always suggested and better to go with the line chart. So once I see the word month here, I do not really want to go with a tree map. I'm going to just hit the line chart. Next, I'm going to use Format Painter to at least get the formatting settings in. Going to play around with a little bit of formatting wherein I'm going to change, say, the marker colors. I do not want the gray shade in there. I would really like, say, oh, sorry, what did I do? Okay. Let's put it probably a little darker shade of blue. And then I'm going to change the color of the line chart as well, just so that it matches with this particular bar chart. Reduce the width a little bit. Perfect. Next, I see I have data labels. I'm going to just reduce the size, and then probably change the position to above. Perfect. So now I have a line chart. Quick tip right here is, so when I see this line chart, it's easy for me to understand that October is leading or probably December is leading, and then August is really, really low. If you want to add an extra insight to this particular line chart, Power BI has an inbuilt feature of adding reference lines. You will find it right here. Reference lines, you have inbuilt reference lines called minimum line, maximum, average, medium, or percentile. I generally use average line. I really like using it. I'll tell you how it gives you an extra insight. Once you hit average line, Power BI automatically calculates the average, produce and gives you an average line like this. Now, when you see this particular line chart, it's easy for you to understand that so and so months are above average and so months are performing below average. So basically, I can go back and look into why the months performing below average are performing that way and make some actionable changes. So this was a quick tip of how you can add an extra insight to a line chart by just using the inbuilt feature called average line. I'm going to talk about a little bit of formatting in the average line. So now, if you're going to show someone like this, he's not really going to understand what this blue line means. So I'm going to add data labels to this blue line. Power BI has this great feature where you can adjust the position. You can add, basically format your values. You can add it above the line or you can add it below the line, probably change the color to a gray shade, and then basically if just add both the labels average. Now when you look in this particular visual, it's easy for you to understand that okay, there are two insights that I can take out of it. So that was a quick tip, and I am also going to make the average line neutral. I don't want it blue, and then let's push it behind the visual. And there are options where you can even have dotted lines, a solid line, dashed lines, just showing it out there, reduce the width. Perfect. Now we are left with just one visual, and I see I have space here. I also see I have a scroll bar here. So what I'm going to do is push it in here, push it in here. I think I might need a little more space. So let's just adjust the spacing and get it right here. Now either go ahead and choose reset settings or just stick to your format painter to get rid of most of the stuff. Now you see how the column chart and table are very two different things. You don't really get much formattings that gets copied, but I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks that you could use when you use a table visual. And I am sure most of you here use table visuals a lot. The first thing to remember is table visuals by default never have a title. So make sure you enable a title. You can add subtitles if you need. I'm probably just going to keep it blank for now. And then that's the first step. So adding a title is really important, even if it's a table. Second, I'm going to talk about style presets. So you see how when you create a default table, it looks really, really ugly. I am not a fan of default tables. I tend to use style prefix. Power BI has inbuilt features where they have given you presets, so basically templates. So these are a couple of templates that you would find. So when you hit sparse, you see how automatically row padding has been added. The total and the column headers are in a bold color. And then you have flashy rows, not a fan. And then alternating rows. So there are a lot of options that are available as style presets. I generally stick to the minimal one. Once you do minimal, what happens is, okay, this is the default and this is the minimum. So row padding has been added. Next, I am going to go to, let's just use the format pane for formatting. I'm going to go to grid. Let's hold on to the horizontal grid lines. I'm going to enable vertical grid lines just so that I can adjust this and get this into the visual, and then I'm just going to get rid of it. Next, coming to border, you see this blue line. So this is what is called border here. I don't really like it, but yeah, let's just use the border, changing it to a gray format. Next comes the values. So like I told you, never use two to three different font families together. Just stick to one particular font family, probably increase the size. Next, coming to column headers. So these are the column headers that you see: item type, units sold, and total sales. You can probably change the color, make it bold. I'm going to just make it semi-bold a little bit and probably just add a small, say, let's maybe make it lighter, just so that it gels into the theme. Perfect. Next, coming to totals. I don't really want totals here, getting rid of it. One quick thing to note here is whenever you use tables, the table itself should have white space inside it. So by that, I meant you need to have row padding. You see how two rows are very close to each other? So you will find this option called row padding. Increase it and to your content, like just make sure you are happy with it. So now I really like how my rows have padding between them. Next thing I'm going to focus on is we were here. Yeah, totals, we got rid of it. Now we're going to talk about specific columns. So in tables, you can target specific columns and make formatting changes. So here I'm going to target the units sold column, again with huge numbers, which I do not like. And then I'm going to change the display units right here. Add 2 points of decimal, that's good. And one more thing, what I tend to do is whenever I have numbers, I want it to be center aligned. Text is always left aligned. That's your personal choice. Just telling you what I like. Going to do the same with the total sales. I do not want to see huge numbers. So I am going to go ahead and format it this way and then align it in the center. Perfect. Now you see I still have space at the bottom. If you want to fill that up, what I would suggest is you see how there is less space between the title and the visual. So I'm going to go under title, go to spacing and increase the spacing a little bit just to get it inside. Perfect. Now, if you want to add extra insights to this particular table, we have something called cell elements. So you can add background colors, change the font colors, icons, or web URLs in here. Now, let's focus on, say, units. Let's focus on total sales for now. Now, when you see the total sales and you have options called data bars, what data bars does is create bar charts inside that particular column. One thing to note is use this data bars only when you see the difference between the values is more. For example, I have 2.93 million, I have 0.48 million. So when you see that there is a good gap, good difference between the values, go ahead and use it. I'm going to just go ahead and use it and changing it to a lighter gray shade so that it's visible. Perfect. Now, let's go to this unit sold. If enable data bars here, it doesn't really look good. That the reason behind is you see the difference between the values is very, very less. So it is not suggested to use a data bar. Instead, I'm just going to keep it empty. Like just keep it the way you like it. And that's pretty much it. So you see how I was able to convert this into something like this. Quick tip right here, since we spoke about the new chart visual, new card visual, I want to show you how you can add extra context to these KPIs. Whenever you create KPIs, do not just have KPIs for the sake of having KPIs. I know it's very easy to create KPI visuals because what you do is just drag and drop, you get the KPI visual. But to be honest, think from a user perspective, like what am I getting out of it? If I say the total sales is $14.1 million, should I be happy about it? Should I be sad about it? What is the insight I'm getting out of it? One best way to add extra insights to your KPI cards is to add your previous values. For example, if I come to know that the previous year was $15 million and this year is $14 million, I can now conclude that there has been a $1 million drop and probably I need to work on it so that there's a positive result. So you see how by adding a previous value helps add extra context to your KPI cards. Very easy to do that. I already have the DAX right in here, but I would like to show you how easy it is to create the previous year. So let me just, yeah, let me just zoom it for you. Okay. I already have my, oh, why did I take this text box? I am so sorry about it. Yes. So what you have to do is I'm going to calculate my total sales. I'm going to add my previous year from my date table. That's it. That's just a single line that you need to use for your previous sales. What I'm going to do is grab this new card visuals. Now I told you I'm going to add reference to the values. So go on to reference labels. Next, select which card you're talking about. Now, since I created a measure, remember, PY sales, so previous year sales, I'm selecting total sales. Drag and drop it right here. You will see, okay, let me just click, yeah. So you will see how automatically I added an extra reference inside the same card visual. If I have to do this with a native card visual, I need to have two native cards, join it together. But here it was really, really easy for me to add it. Next, I'm going to do the same thing with all the other cards, and the DAX is going to be the same. So when it comes to units, the only thing that changes is total units. The previous year remains the same. So I will quickly save time and add it right here. One more quick thing to note, you see how I've organized all my measures. So it's always suggested to have a separate measure table. If you do not want to create an extra table, you can have display folders. So you see how all my cost related measures are put in this particular folder. So use display folder as a quick tip for me, makes works very, very easy. Now, I've added my reference values inside it. Next thing is I'm going to format it a little bit, just reducing the size a bit. And then I'm going to tell you how you can take it a step further. First, before I take it a step further, I want to optimize this particular value. So I'm going to go on to my label and go to my value, put in 2 points of decimals. Perfect. Now, say I have this particular card visual, very easy for me to understand. The previous year was this year is this is the loss, this is the profit. What if I could color code it? For example, I want to say if my previous value was bigger than my current value, basically a loss, I want it in red, else I want it in green. Simple way to do that is again use conditional formatting by using a color comparison DAX. So this is a comparison DAX that you could write. I mean, if the previous is more than the current, show it in green or it in red. Once you have the DAX ready, all you have to do is select the particular reference label, go to your value, and remember I spoke about conditional formatting. Click on conditional formatting. This time I'm not going to play around with any rules because I already have a DAX for it. So just typing in sales, go to my sales folder, color comparison, it okay. So you see how my previous value was more. So 1.81 is more than 1.74. That's why 1.81 is green color. You can even reverse the logic if you like. You can do this with all the other reference labels as well. If you want to take it a step further, you can add arrows to it. So what I'm going to do is adding extra details to my reference label. So quick DAX for that is pretty much here. Having two variables where I'm pulling in my previous sales, pulling in my total sales, doing a comparison, putting in my arrows. These arrows, you can get it from Google. One more quick tip right here, if you're a Windows user, if you hit Windows and full stop, you will get your emoji plate that opens up. You can, let's see if I have arrows. I do have arrows. So probably you can use these arrows too. Quick tip right here. If you want to keep it professional, it's better to use these. Once you have these arrows ready, what you have to do is, what happened? Yeah. What you have to do is, since I said I'm going to add details to my reference label, pay attention to the word, go to reference label, select your particular reference label. So my reference label is previous year sales, and then enable your detail. You have an option called detail and drag and drop. Where is it? Drag and drop it right here. So you will have a arrow that pops up. So basically it's telling me that previous year was more than the current year. Take it one step further. If you want this also to be color coded, use the same color coding DAX that you used for this particular number. So I am going to go to FX. I'm going to go to field value and pull out my sales color comparison and hit OK. So you see how even that added extra value. Now, okay. And then now when I change my years, my previous year's value changes. So you see when it's negative, it becomes red in color. So you can use this particular concept in all of my card visuals and then put it back right here. You'll get something like this. So this is pretty much what we did today. I hope it was helpful, useful, and you learned something out of it. I am open to any questions you might have. And I would really like to know if you learned something new out of this session as well. And thank you so much. And quick thank you to the organizers of the group.